school girl's been murdered. Mr. Harrison's daughter is missing. And now at the house where she lives, the other girls are getting obscene phone calls.
Yeah, what I've done is I've tapped this phone so that when it rings, it'll ring at the station house, too.
There was a little girl murdered over in the park tonight.
Yes, I heard.
Your phone's ringing.
Hello?
Hey, Mommy. There's a baby. Baby, all right, Mommy.
Hello? Who's there?
I know you're there, nasty man. You answer me as bad. Mommy. Come here.
Where's Agnes?
You won't.
Why are you doing this?
This is Graham. It's group 140, terminal 55.
Remember those idyllic scenes out of your childhood? Crisp winter nights, star bright, sleigh bells, crackling Yule logs, candlelight glistening off of shimmering Christmas trees, chestnuts roasting over open fires, carolers beneath snow-covered window ledges. Remember those. Remember them well. After Black Christmas, they'll never be the same again. Black Christmas, starring Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea, Margot Kidder, and starring John Saxon as Lieutenant Fuller. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too...
Welcome, everybody, to They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined, as always, by Tim Johnson and Josh Lambert. How the hell are you, gentlemen?
Good.
Hungover.
Got a little too far into the old juice last night, did you?
Yep. Christmas party, work party. Put my silly pants on.
Put your silly pants on. Now you got your silly hat on, and you're ready to discuss Christmas horror. Tim, are we resurrecting the December to Dismember?
We are, but we're going to, I think, like, to some people it might be a cop-out, like, oh, these fucking guys are doing what they did last year. But that's not it. I think would be really cool if we revisit some of our very first episodes, which happened to coincide with December, and we didn't have any video to go along, like, because back then we were straight up a podcast with just the audio. We weren't doing the video yet. So given the fact that we've evolved and we have the video now, plus we also have a new member with Josh, who his opinion is obviously going to be different than what Dave's was, and just the whole dynamic change. Hey, let's revisit some of the shit that we did before.
Hey, I'm down for that. So, if that's the case, Tim, what are we going to talk about tonight, then?
We are going to talk about a movie that...
Okay. A movie. Just a pause. I'm sorry.
I got really excited. This is a classic movie, and if you don't like it, you're an asshole.
Oh man, love it.
I'm kidding. No, but this is a very, very classic cult Christmas hit. We're going to talk about the 1974 Black Christmas.
Yeah. All right, Black Christmas revisited.
Yes. This is They Cast from the Coast revisited.
Excellent.
I like I should come up with like some kind of title screen, like when I say that. Boom, boom.
Just, boom, it flashes up, and yeah. No, now people are expecting it.
What do you think we have here, folks?
Who's paying for this shit?
Unfortunately, because I'm the one that does it, no.
Nice.
No, I have not gotten paid yet.
All right. Nobody's gotten paid for this shit yet. All right. Who's doing the synopsis? Tim or Josh?
Well, me, because Josh...
Tim, for sure. He loves these synopsises.
Tim, you're doing the synopsis then, buddy.
Oh. Okay.
Oh. Tim?
Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my audio, my mic came unplugged.
All right. So just
make a cut there.
Yep. Tim's going to do the synopsis. Go.
Okay. It is a time for Christmas break and a sorority house. The sisters make plans for the holiday, but they are plagued with strange anonymous phone calls, and it's beginning to put them on edge because they're really fucking creepy. And like really creepy. And when they contact the police, they don't express that much concern. And there's all this like dynamic between certain sorority sisters and their boyfriends, and who's doing this, and are they really safe, and Black Christmas.
Wow.
It's the story of the urban legend of the man calling from upstairs.
Yeah, the calls coming from inside the house and all that kind of stuff.
Back when that was possible.
Yeah.
Okay, good synopsis.
Well, I didn't want to give too much away.
Well, I think that pretty much gives the fucking movie away.
For the millennials listening, phones used to be corded and in the wall. And,
And you used to be able to call yourself.
Right?
It was weird. I remember that shit. Okay, so synopsis out of the way. Let's talk storyline here for a couple minutes, because once again, as everybody knows, our reviews really become spoilerific after a little bit. So, if you haven't seen a 1974 movie,
is it really that necessary to fucking say anymore that our discussions are spoiler filled?
I don't know. A couple of times I started talking about shit, and you're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, spoilers!" It's like, okay, we spoil the shit out of everything on this show, so it doesn't really matter.
That's true.
Okay, story. Let's talk about the story a little bit more in depth here, shall we? So, yes, takes place around the Christmas time period with a sorority house on a campus that people are leaving for the Christmas time period to be with their families, but some people are staying behind. And everything's kind of like wrapping up for the season, as it would be. The sorority itself has some lovely ladies in it. Mainly, we have Olivia Hussey.
As Jess.
And we have my personal favorite character in this entire movie. We have Margot Kidder.
As Barb.
She's my highlight in this movie. I love everything about her.
She's great.
And we also have other characters that are in there, like Phil. And we got
John. Get this. We got John Saxon playing a cop.
Playing a cop. In a horror film.
In a horror movie.
Unbelievable.
Playing a cop in a horror film. That's right. A bit of a stretch for him.
Poor bastard.
Is this the first?
I think so.
I think so.
The first.
Like, he might have been a cop in other things.
Yeah.
Predating this, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time.
First appearance of the cop in a horror film. So
in a horror movie.
It's not played out yet. This is fresh.
Yeah. Okay.
Cutting edge, brand new.
So so everything's kind of, when we look at this, it's a very simplistic premise. It's Christmas time, and a crazy ass person decides to climb up the side
medical
of
term?
Yeah, pretty much.
A crazy ass person
Decides to climb up the side of the sorority house and kind of stow away in the attic and call them from, like, within the house to the other phones in the house and make very lewd phone calls to them.
Can you do an impersonation of that to the people?
Billy, I'm going to kill you. I don't know. It's shit like that, I guess.
That's it. Hey, that wasn't bad. Hello.
Yeah. Oh, there's your Olivia Hussey, your Jess right there, right? Hello. I remember the last time me and Tim watched this, we actually like kept a count of how many times that she had said hello.
I think it was like in the high 20s.
It was in the high 20s. It was definitely in the high 20s. And because, I mean, she repeats herself like 10 times. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets pretty lewd and crude on the old phone calls there.
He does. And you know what? The first time that I remember the first time I watched this movie, I wasn't expecting some of the shit that came out of his mouth. Because, you know, like he tosses the C word right out there at one point. And it's like, whoa.
Sure does. This is in, what, 74?
74. And he's tossing out the C word. And it's like, wow, okay.
But didn't they do that in The Exorcist too?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
The
The
Exorcist
Exorcist-
was the year before, and,
Yeah.
and she's telling about your mom sucks cocks in hell, so it just doubles down, I guess.
That's my favorite line in that movie. Fuck, I love it. Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yep. Yeah, so the premise is pretty simplistic. This crazy ass guy climbs up into the attic and he starts basically causing havoc for them, like calling the house and getting them all riled up, and then he makes his first kill. And it becomes the most iconic scene from the movie because it actually spawned the poster, and almost when you see the picture of the first victim, you automatically know Black Christmas. And it's the one where he takes it's like a dry cleaning bag and pulls it over her head and suffocates her. And the best part is that he drags her body up the stairs and mounts her on a rocking chair in front of the window of the attic. And the whole fucking time she's in the front of the window in the attic and nobody sees the fucking body. That's the one thing that always kind of struck me as odd.
But it was it was a big old house.
It was a big old
and it was a little window.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was the attic. Like, who the fuck is looking up in the attic?
I don't know. You got a point. So
yeah,
the investigation into said situation occurs when the father of that girl, who the first victim is on campus waiting for her to take her home, and she doesn't show up. He makes his way down to the sorority house to find out where she is and what she's doing, and nobody's seen her since the previous night when she went missing.
What a character that guy was.
I thought he was great.
No, but I know, like Mr. Stick Up His Ass, like it was great. Yeah, it was, yeah, it's good.
And the whole time, the world's just flowing around it. So, I mean, talking about the story here for a second, there's a reason why people claim that this is the movie that inspired and spawned the modern day slasher, such as Halloween.
Well, it's directly influenced Halloween to the point where that image of the woman with the bag over her head is hidden into the poster.
It's hidden in the poster.
It's the spiritual successor.
Yep. And you got to give some love and credit to the fact that this is one of the first horror movies, or slasher films for sure, that introduced point of view, POV shots, at the beginning and later on in the movie when he's crawling around, and it's basically, that's your vision of the serial killer, is his view and him talking like he does on the phone, but when he's just running around and yelling and screaming and acting like an idiot.
Well, 74 was also the same year that Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's like those two movies combined are responsible for the horror, the good horror that we have today, as far as like the way the narrative goes, the final girl, the whole final girl trek through and finding all the fucking bodies of her friends and stuff, and yeah.
Absolutely.
We definitely owe a lot in the horror universe to this film. There's no doubt there.
Absolutely. So yeah, so the story's pretty straightforward. I don't think that there's anything else that we really need to get into in that, but we really should jump right into the fact that the characters really make this story pop.
Absolutely. If the characters weren't good, this movie would fall flat in its face. Because like you said, it is a very simple premise. A guy breaks into the house and starts calling the girls and then randomly picking them off one by one. That is Black Christmas, plain and simple. But it like you said, it is the characters that make this as good as it is. I mean, the contrasting, Jess compared to Barb, compared to Mrs. Mack to Phil. Like, they're all, and they all feed off each other and stuff. Like, I don't know. I felt that it was a very believable representation of, like, you know, just a bunch of friends or schoolmates that became friends living in the same house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like this movie relied a lot on the edginess. I mean, they talked a lot about abortion. They used some pretty crude language for the time. And they had this degenerate upstairs talking about wanking it, just being a fucking weirdo.
But I mean, but I mean, obviously the edginess worked because here it is 2019 and we're still talking about it, right? The influence is still felt in...
Yeah. But this is,
today.
I'm just saying this is right after The Exorcist, right? So I think that they were just trying to cash in on that, honestly. You had people that were puking in the audience and leaving, and it was on the news everywhere. There was a video nasty, and you got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again, tried to recuperate that as well. This is just the era right now of push everything as far as you can. So they're sitting in a room, and they're saying, what can we do to push the envelope? We'll have this guy drop the C-bomb. We'll have him be fucking weird.
But I mean, really, I know we're getting a little ahead of topic, but I mean, you know, there wasn't that much gore in it.
No.
You think if they were really trying to be edgy, that would come out in some of the kills as well, because the kills are really tame, except for what we'll talk about later. But you know what I mean?
From a gore perspective, there's almost no gore in this movie. They cut away. Because they go by that concept that it's worse in your imagination than what they could possibly do on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get this straight too. One of the things that really shocked people about this movie was who made it.
Yeah.
Right? So the movie was written and directed by Bob Clark, Canadian filmmaker. He is infamous at this time of year, nonetheless, the Christmas season, for writing and directing A Christmas Story, the story of Ralphie and the BB gun, right?
Yeah.
So here are two entirely different movies in every aspect that you get. One's a family film that's, you know, honored by generations of people cherishing it and sending it down for their grandchildren to watch. And the other one is a lewd, crude slasher film that has C words and F-bombs dropped all over the place and people being, you know, stabbed to death and suffocated. But then again, Bob also did go on to make, you know, Porky's, and we won't give him any credit for, what was it, Baby Geniuses 2. I don't want to see anything about that shit. That was pretty horrible too, but, you know. So, yeah, so give the credit to the director and writer as well, because, once again, he was able to pull off something that's not that impressive of a movie overall, but the characters and how it plays out really brought the movie out. So it had some good writing.
Yeah, but it was also, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but I mean, it was also like the cinematography was fantastic. The element of the POV shot was fantastic. Like, give some credit to Bob Clark.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You got to give him some credit.
Dick.
The premise was simplistic.
He went on to fucking direct the remake of Citizen Kane.
The remake.
Citizen fucking Kane.
Get the remake of Citizen
Yeah,
Kane.
but still.
I think you got to be kind of dumb to say, yeah, I'll redo that movie. One of the greatest films ever made. Yeah, I'll put my name on that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Shit happens. Shit happens.
You don't know.
Oh, well. All right, so characters, though. So let's talk a little bit about the characters. So, Jess. She's a very prominent character, first off, in the movie. Olivia Hussey. I love Olivia Hussey. I adore her. I think that she's great for the most part. But, man, she is the most annoying character to me in this damn movie.
Do you think that was written into the script?
What?
The amount of time she says hello? Or do you think that was all ad-libbed? Like, it only said it once. But, like, she's like, no, I'm onto something here. I'm going to say it multiple times throughout the movie in the same shrill tone.
I think that it might have been written that she said it multiple times, but I don't think with the passion and
So that was all her?
That was all her.
That was all her.
I think the whole, hello, like that was entirely Olivia Hussey. That was, but
right.
Bob was like, just make sure you get it in 5 times and we're fine. And she probably just hello, you know what I mean? Like just goes nuts on it, whatever.
Yeah.
So she plays, for the most part, one of the main characters, obviously, but like a pretty prominent character in the movie who is battling her own demons at this point, in the form of her boyfriend, who suddenly becomes a very controlling asshole and pretty much becomes suspect numero uno, according to one of the greatest movie officers ever. Detective ever. So, she's great in the movie, but yes, we make fun of and we bug all the time about the whole hello, because it is annoying as piss, in my opinion. It's probably the worst part of the movie, but it's funny. It's because it kind of takes, when I see that scene, it takes me out of the movie, and I just laugh, and it's corny as shit for me. So, but that's my opinion. Tim, do you have a different opinion than that?
No. I love the characters in this movie. Like I said earlier, it's one of the reasons why this movie, in my opinion, is still looked upon very favorably. Aside from it being really the first real slasher movie, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre was somewhat of a slasher as well, but I don't know. I like the characters. I liked hanging out with them for an hour and a half, and I don't know. It was just good. Like, I thought it was a good group of people.
Well, who's your favorite character in the movie?
Barb.
Barb. Okay, so you're on the same page as me.
Yeah, I thought Barb was awesome. And her death was the best thing from the movie. In my opinion. But I like John Saxon as the cop. And yeah, and I liked I don't know, I liked Olivia Hussey. I liked Jess. I thought she was hot. That's usually how I base things in horror movies. She's hot. But hot, I don't know. Like I said, I like this movie.
Well, I personally think that Barb had the funnest parts in the movie too, right? Like,
absolutely,
she's a drunkard. She's fighting with people.
The whole fellatio conversation in the cop station was fantastic. That was he a deputy? I want to say he was. Was he a deputy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking idiot, and I loved how they all laughed at him and shit.
Yeah.
Sitting at dinner talking about turtle sex.
Yeah,
3 days and all this kind of shit.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But my favorite scene is actually when they got what's his face playing Santa Claus, and and she's sitting there like feeding alcohol to like this little kid, and the other girl's father's sitting there on the phone looking at her like, what the fuck is going on here, right? It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Josh, give us something about the characters.
You guys talk and praise these characters up. I think they're just throwaways, man. I like Mary, like the house owner, the
Miss Mac.
I don't know what her role
was. House mother.
Yeah, hiding booze and books and stuff. That's
the toilet and shit.
She's like lifting booze up under the toilet. Oh, peppermint schnapps. Yeah, she cracked me up. And we don't get to know much about the killer, Billy, I guess. But that kind of adds to it, right? The unknown. He's got some connection to Agnes. I guess it's been said that it's his sister by the director and the creator. Never really goes into depth in the film. But, it just feels like they're throwaway characters that you're just waiting for them to be picked off. I didn't really...
But isn't that really any slasher movie?
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, Josh.
It is, and that's the goal. You don't want to connect too much, but...
Well, you do, because you want the whole idea behind it.
You want someone to be the final.
Yeah, the whole idea behind the whole final girl thing is that you do want to connect to people, and you want somebody to survive. And then when there's usually a twist of events when the one you think is going to survive doesn't, and and the lower powered wimp character or something survives, and it's a shock to everybody, and all of a sudden she's the favorite now because she did survive.
And you get this arsehole boyfriend who's trying to control his girlfriend. Yeah, and they kind of set him up. Is he the killer or whatever? But
Peter.
Yeah.
Robert Englund here, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger. I'm watching and listening. They cast from the coast. You better or else.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I like how they were trying to make it so that you'd think. I mean, let's face it. I'm watching the movie going, can't be Peter, because the killer's like in the house and Peter's crawling in. You know, he's not crawling in and out of the windows and shit, right? Like the killer's always in the house. But I mean, they don't know that.
From the perspective of the characters, that's the obvious answer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was really interesting too that they threw in other problems into the story and with the characters too. So they have the other girl who went missing, the 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And they have a search party out for the two girls, and they find one of them, and it kind of leaves a larger moment of desperation in the house, in the sorority house, and with the father, because they found this other girl. What happened to his daughter?
Right.
You know?
And you kind of wonder, so where did Billy come from? Did he escape from a mental institution or something, and he's just on the run?
Yeah, and did he actually kill the other girl, on his way?
Well, that's part of the awesomeness of this movie, because you just don't fucking know.
Yeah, and it doesn't pretend to have to explain everything. Also, it really
it's one of those. I'm not
going
to hold your
left
hand.
in the dark, and it is very much on the concept of your imagination is worse than anything that can show on the screen, right?
Yeah. So moving on just a little bit here, visually, the movie. We'll talk about this for a minute here, because Tim, you brought up a really good point. The movie is visually stunning in a lot of ways. The fact that Bob Clark and the DOP really, really heavily utilized Christmas lighting, because it's Christmas time period. As simple of a scene as when Jess answers the door and it's the carolers, and she's sitting there with the door open, and it's just the red light from the wreath, and you know what I mean? It's beautifully panned out and shot, right down to one of my favorite visual scenes in the entire movie. Is when she's in the hallway after falling down, and she looks up, and you can see Billy's eye through the slot in the door, and it's just perfectly lit where you can just see his eye and part of his face.
Yeah.
And he starts talking to her, and in my opinion, that's one of the coolest shots in the entire movie, because once again, it doesn't reveal the killer, but he's literally. There's just a door between them now.
Big brown eye, you see.
That's right, and there's just a door between them now. Now it's danger for her, right? And it was impressive the way that they shot that part of it.
And then there's other did you guys enjoy the POV scenes? I get it's innovative for the time, and they're trying to do it, but I found them really jarring. I didn't.
I like them,
but that's because we're so used to 2019,
steady
even
cams,
the 80s and the steady cams and all the technology we have now, right? But again, we owe a lot to this series. I don't want to knock it down too much. We do owe a lot of the tropes. Even John Saxon as a police officer, right? We owe a lot to this film, and I don't want to shit on it too much. But I don't know. It just the timing and stuff felt so fucking slow to me.
Well, there was a little bit of a timing issue, which I think that they tried to overcome with the remake, Black Xmas.
Yeah.
Which,
garbage.
Yeah, when you're comparing the two movies, Black Xmas was a beat for beat, huge, pump of adrenaline in comparison to this movie. It followed a different formula in that way, but it really, you can't even fucking compare them. Not anywhere near. So. But continuing on about visual, we'll talk about visual effects and gore and stuff. There really isn't a lot in this movie. And we said that. You know, what do we have? We have the bag scene over her face, which isn't gory.
It's intense.
It's intense as
it's
shit
intense.
when he's doing it. Like, it was really well filmed, and you really feel for her. Like, she's suffocating, and it was well done. But the only other scene that really had anything in it was when he kills Barb.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It was...
I never look at one of those little crystal animals the same again.
But you know what? It feels to me like when I was watching it again there the other day, because it's a yearly watch for me. I was sitting down watching it the other day, and just the way that the crystal shone, and it was, you know, the translucency and the way they filmed through it and everything else, it felt very giallo, like Italian, Argento style, in my opinion, too. Like, because the lighting was a certain way, and it just, it popped. Everything popped.
My favorite part was just the little glimpse you got of his, like, that much of his face when he brought...
Yeah. Which one of the original posters was that.
Was that? Yeah.
And I love that too, because and that goes back to the whole with the door as well, because you just barely see something from him.
Yeah.
You know, and the only other
you
thing
can definitely praise the cinematographer and the man who set up those shots for sure.
And the only other thing that we see of him at any point is when he's walking around upstairs at one point, when he's got the first girl over his shoulder, you see his legs and he's wearing like bell-bottom jeans. So it's like curly hair, brown eye, bell-bottom jeans, and that's all we know of Billy. You know what I mean? Other than the fact that he's good at doing voices as well. So, you know.
And cat sounds.
And cat sounds. Oh, man. So, visually, it's a great movie. It's got some good actors into it. It's got great characters written for it, because, once again, if the characters were flat, this movie would not have been worth anybody's pissing of time. It just wouldn't have worked. And the story itself was a very basic premise, but once again, it was inventful for the time, and it spawned generations of horror and slasher movies. Right? I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that. So,
no.
So let's get into general thoughts and feelings of the movie overall. And I really, really, really want to hear if Josh made notes.
I did.
I did.
All right, Josh, tell us about the movie.
I'll start it off
and give your notes.
With talking about one of my favorite films, the meta horror, Leslie Verne. Listen.
But
the
we're
writer
not
and creator
talking.
of
But we're not
Leslie
talking
Verne
about
created...
that movie tonight.
Yeah, I know, but it connects. They confirmed that the idol that Leslie goes to that was a slasher was Billy from Black Christmas.
Fuck off.
It's confirmed that. Yeah. So when they go to see, I don't even remember what the old fellow's name is, but like his idol, like his slasher idol.
Yeah.
The writer confirmed that it was supposed to be Billy, so it's kind of Billy's continuing story. So at the end of the movie, we kind of get the impression that Billy survives and he's still there, and that's supposed to be his story arc, that he went to train Leslie. But anyways, we'll continue.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, Black Christmas. So predates Halloween, obviously, and we all know the story about how kind of Halloween was inspired, and when he asked him about Halloween, or asked him about a sequel to Black Christmas, he said, I have no interest in doing horror anymore. And then he kind of tells the story about how if he was to do a sequel, it'd be about Billy coming back and escaping from the mental institution that they get locked up in, and he was going to call it Halloween. And then he doesn't blame John Carpenter for stealing it. He doesn't think that he stole his idea or anything, but he did mention that in a couple interviews. So, like I already said, it's all about the urban legend of the man up in the house. We see a bunch of the POV shots. This fucking house, what's up with the horses and the unicorns and shit everywhere? Like, Billy's up in the attic, he's pushing unicorns and carousel horses and stuff all over the place. I don't know.
It could be their mascot.
Yeah, it could be anything.
No, yeah, okay.
For all you know, I mean, it's a sorority back in the 70s. It could have just been shit that they stole and...
Yeah,
I mean,
the carousel horses and weird unicorn pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I appreciate it for what it's done for horror, but the timing is just so many times. I'm looking at the timer on the movie, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. The Moaner has some really saucy, spicy, dirty talk on the phone.
Normally you gotta pay to call one of those lines.
I'm like, is this fucking... Jesus Christ. And then when she doubles down and starts talking back, it's pretty funny. I already talked about how it kind of plays and doubles down on Regan's lines in The Exorcist. Lois Lane is a drunken bitch in this movie. She's so fucking drunk.
I love her so
Every
much more
time.
as this character than Lois Lane, though.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just the juxtaposition of the good, wholesome Lois Lane, and then you see her as this saucy
Drunken bitch.
sorority girl. I wrote, Mary's got booze hidden fucking everywhere in the books, in the toilets.
B is for booze.
Yeah, I can just picture her running the house, and like every time no one's around, she's like sneaking off into a corner, like Batman style, lifting out a book, and a drink cart pulls down or something, sucking down on peppermint schnapps. Liked how there was no identity to the slasher. Best kills, the bag strangle. I think we can all agree on that.
Nope.
John Saxon's the police officer. Imagine that. I just wrote down turtle sex. So
Turtle sex?
who the fuck is Agnes? So again, there's this mystery of who Agnes is. I guess the creators kind of confirmed that it was his sister, Billy's sister, and they had this kind of weird thing going on in his head where he's both of them. And then at the end, we find out that Billy's still on the loose because the phone's still ringing.
Oh, and shows, POV up in the attic and shit like that still. And
Yep.
Okay. Good notes. Pretty much covers the movie. But, so what's your overall feeling on the movie, though? I mean, you don't have to rate it, but,
Right.
talk to us in general about how you felt with it. And don't worry about shitting on the movie. We want to know what Josh...
Like you said, don't worry about Tim fucking getting angry.
Don't worry about Tim getting angry.
No,
Don't worry about...
And it's not that I don't want to shit on the movie. Like, I do genuinely appreciate what it's done for the horror community. We wouldn't have the modern-day slasher without this film. I do genuinely believe that. Do people give it too much praise? I think so. I think a lot of the things you praised it for have been done in foreign films before. The POV, there's a ton of Italian movies
That's
that
true.
did this.
Yep.
The slasher in general, there's a bunch of French movies that did it before it. You talk about the pushing the envelope, the crude language. You got The Exorcist. You got Texas Chainsaw. That would, I think the slasher would have evolved anyways without this film, and we kind of put it up on a pedestal. Is it a decent watch for the Christmas season? There's not a whole lot of good Christmas horror movies. Sure, watch it every year, enjoy it with the season. Does it deserve to be up on the fucking pedestals with Halloween, Evil Dead, and these classic horror films? I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Tim? You may proceed now, Tim.
Objection.
I object. I completely disagree with everything you just said. But again, this is my opinion, and we can't like everything the same.
No.
So, I share the same sentiment that without this movie, I don't feel that the state of horror and more specific slasher would be in the same spot. I know goddamn well we wouldn't have gotten Halloween if this movie didn't come out, and Halloween is my favorite horror movie. So this is kind of like, I have a love for this movie just based on that. I like the cinematography and how claustrophobic it makes you feel, especially with the POV stuff. I love that they're completely unaware that Billy is up in the attic, and they're just going on about their fucking day. And I just love the vibe of this movie. The fact that it was shot in Canada was even more of a plus. The fact that Bob Clark, who went on to do one of my favorite Christmas movies, makes it even better. I don't know. I really love this movie. It didn't need to have a lot of, gratuitous, gory scenes. I felt that the dialogue for the most part was really good. All the acting performances were exactly what they were supposed to be. I put this on a fucking pedestal. So,
Josh. No, I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding. No, this is one of my favorite horror movies.
This is probably one of the only times that I can step back and understand that people love this movie and understand why, and not just be angry that they like it. Because I want to like this movie. When I watch it every time, I said, this movie has great elements. It's a classic, and I should like it, but I just don't.
I think you need to put on your crazy pants and just
Right?
Put
have
on
a
your
couple
crazy
drinks and watch it.
pants.
Yeah,
Oh man,
your silly pants or whatever you called it when you went to your party.
your silly
I
pants.
think you need to put those pants on and fucking watch this movie. It's a great
Yeah.
film. It's a great film.
That it is.
It's very much a product of its time, and they tried to duplicate it with the Black Xmas and to a lesser extent the new one that's coming out. Which
I honestly wish I could have watched it in '74
Yeah.
and had it as that experience of that era. I think I'd probably have a different feeling for it, but
Yeah.
I didn't, and I won't, so here we are.
Yeah. So I love this movie. I'm just going to throw it out there. I love this movie. Do I think it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made? I'm going to say no. It's definitely a high note movie for me. It is a movie that I will watch every year religiously on Christmas or around Christmas time because it fills that thematic view for me, right? Like a lot of the times I watch My Bloody Valentine come around Valentine's Day. I watch Black Christmas at Christmas time, Halloween at Halloween. There's, the whole thematic love of horror is there. And this movie...
Do you watch The Leprechaun at St. Patrick's Day?
I have.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes.
I just wanted to see I wasn't alone.
And I really thoroughly enjoy it in that way. I think the movie's visually done well. I think it's directed well. I love the characters. I love the whole points of the movie that are outstanding for it when it comes to how it goes from point A to point B to point C. Storytelling wise, I like a lot about this. Originally, I can admit that I was not ever a huge fan of this movie for years. I knew it was there and I liked it. But then I grew a fondness for it as I got older. But more specifically, when I watched the remake, Black Xmas. What a lump of fucking turd that remake is. And a lot of people have this, for some reason, view that the remake is better because of the pacing and the actors that are in it and because it's newer, that whole fucking...
No.
So...
Objection.
Yeah, objection to that. But after seeing the remake and seeing what a lot of people would consider problems with the original and how it would be better if it was more modernized and everything else, and seeing how they did that and it turned out like shit, made me appreciate and love the original even more, if that makes any more sense. And the movie doesn't tire for me. I can put it on and it's background noise if I just want a comfort movie during the Christmas season, or like the other day I sat down and I just went, visually, I just sat there and watched it. I didn't have anything else on the go. Check my phone every now and then, but that was about it. It was enjoyable that way. I have a soft spot for this movie, and it'll always probably be on my playlist. It's got all the themes and all the elements of a great story in a slasher movie for me. So that means we have to rate the movie, though, and we might as well do it. We're gonna start with Tim.
Rated R.
Rated R for recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Josh.
I'm about to hang up.
I'll give it a PG. Pretty good. It's not garbage, and it's definitely not shit. I don't think it's anything to write home about. I think we owe a lot to it.
So it's pretty good.
Pretty good, I would say.
Okay, PG. And I'm going to have to rate it an R for recommended as well.
I'm not surprised.
I know. I'm doing what Tim does, right? Is that what you're going to say, Tim?
Fucking follower.
All right, so with that, we have 2 rated Rs and a rated PG. So, interesting. And once again, we
Works
have
out to PG-13, I guess.
shit. So, but with that, we have some varying views on it, which is great because this is the whole idea that we love about these conversations. And Josh, I respect your opinion on the matter.
I do too.
You're
too.
fucking wrong for the most part when it comes to the fact that it's not a great movie. But I respect you for it.
The fact that Josh's opinion is so different, it's his opinion. I absolutely respect that. And I like that you were able to back it up. You weren't just shitting on it, like, everybody likes this movie, so I'm going to be different. Like, you legit had reasons why you didn't like it, so...
At the end of the day, the kind of horror films I like, they don't fall in line with the classics, so to speak, right? The iconics, the ones that are put up on a pedestal as being the grandfathers of horror. I like the campy, shitty movies.
Well, I mean, what would you consider to be the king of campy, shitty movies?
Well, The Evil Dead.
But The Evil Dead's not a shitty movie.
Oh, it's not.
It is campy, but it's not shitty.
It was very well made.
The original Evil Dead, watch it in Blu-ray HD.
No. Obviously Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Movies that are so bad you're laughing through them. Tusk, right?
Shit.
Well, these are the ones I hold close to my heart.
Yeah. Well, before we end things tonight, though, there is one thing that we do need to kind of touch on for a minute, and I just want to kind of I want you guys to give your opinion on it, and we'll, because there'll probably be an episode in the future on it. What do you guys forecast for the remake of Black Christmas by Blumhouse? Tim?
I didn't know that existed.
Well, it's because you don't watch trailers.
Yeah.
Correct.
True.
You got me once with the remake of Black Xmas. So I'm very hesitant to watch this one, but I'm also kind of intrigued that they took the same premise of a sorority house, but they went in a completely different direction. So even though it's called Black Christmas by name, this does not seem like a remake to me.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's like they share story elements, but this goes in just based on the trailer, goes in a completely different direction. So I'm open to it, but I reserve judgment until I see it, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm pretty much feeling the same way, that I'm going to reserve judgment, but I got a little bit pissy when I first seen the trailer because I had some higher hopes from Blumhouse. That if this was going to be a Black Christmas remake, it was going to be a Black Christmas remake. This, to me, seems like it should have been Black Christmas 2. Or another Black Christmas. Or
Black Christmas
Sorority Massacre. Or Annihilation or something.
Yeah.
There should have been a subtitling of some kind. And not just saying, this is a remake of Black Christmas. Because, no, it fucking isn't. It really doesn't look like it has anything to do with the original idea of Black Christmas, other than the fact that, like you said, it shares a sorority house, and it's probably going to have some characters named the same way.
Well, and it's also the way it looked like the male house, sorority house, or whatever.
Some sort of like a cult.
Yeah, it was like a cult, and that's their initiation thing, is to fuck with the girls.
Penis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean.
I'd be interested in it. It might fix some of the things I gripe about.
Oh, fuck off.
But it could also be be Dark or Black Xmas. So
yeah. So I'm my main reservation on this is the fact that they're calling it Black Christmas, but it's entirely not Black Christmas. I think that it, like anything, and I was open about this when I was talking to other people about this, and I said it should have been subtitled. Or, there should have been like a separate title to it. It's Black Christmas 2, or it's Black Christmas fucking Sorority Massacre.
You know what pisses me off about all these remakes with the original names? Trying to fucking find the information. Like, if you want to look up on IMDb, or if you're trying to download the movie, you're bombarded with the wrong one.
Halloween 2018 is really what you got to put in. Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah, this would be the same way, so. At least with the Black Christmas remake that they did last time, it was Black Xmas.
Every movie should just have a different fucking name.
Yeah. That's about it.
There's no reason.
All right, gentlemen. With that, I think it's time to say goodbye. So, Josh?
Always check the attic. Always.
Always check the attic. Okay. Tim?
Stay spooky.
And everybody, have a good night. See you next time.